TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at truthseekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah podcast. I'm excited and delighted to be with you guys tonight for this amazing episode. Listen, we cover all things spiritual. We leave no stone unturned. We're going to get it in. My guest tonight has an amazing story. We're going to get into that. She's a powerful healer, coach, intuitive medium, and we're going to talk about her story. And I just love hearing people's genesis. I listened to a couple of her episodes on other podcasts, and I was like, I'm just taking notes, like, you know, just reminding me of like why I got started podcasting, which was listening to other podcasters interview some of my favorite authors, and I had more questions. They asked a question or said something that kind of gave birth to something deeper, and I would be listening to certain podcasts and Coast to Coast AM and all of this, and they wouldn't go deeper. I was like, no, you got to ask them, what did the spirit look like? Like, what was the prayer that you said that activated this in your life? Like the little juicy details. So I started a podcast, and I get to have people on here, and I listen to their shows, and I take notes, and we just get to go deeper. So my guest today is Sheila V, and I'm excited to dive into her story, what she brings to the table. Intuitive, medium, psychic, all of the fun woo-woo stuff, but also very successful in the business realm as well. I just launched a coaching course last night. It was the third installment of the Path of the Healer. And there's this passion and burden that we have to train and equip other people. And it's not just me. Everybody who's in this great work has the same passion to pour out into others and to train them up and send them out. And so I know that I'm going to get to go deep into Sheila's story. We're going to talk about that, her passion to see people set free and equipped and sent back out there to live their truth, man. Become intuitive. Learn how to work with spirit and intuition. My guest today, ladies and gentlemen, Sheila V. Sheila, welcome to the TruthSeekah podcast, my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Truth. What an amazing introduction. I just love everything you said then. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really great. I'm in Sydney. We're in lockdown. We're doing good.
Yeah. I've got some friends over there, and they're not doing so good. I'll say that. So it's good that you're doing good.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's awesome to be here. And I love everything you said then is my passion. I love speaking about the metaphysical. I love speaking about spirits and connecting to the other side. You know, years ago, all of this was taboo and hidden. And now with each month that we go through post-COVID, there's been this mass awakening, and people are ready and resilient, and they're open to hear this kind of stuff and have open dialogue about it. It's important. It's necessary.
Yeah, it's in their face now, and we've been, most of us, this is old stuff. We've been doing this for a while, right? Having experiences since you was a child, and then how you embraced your truth and got into it and got comfortable with it, because at first it's weird, first it's scary, and I want to hear your story on that. But we're in a realm where like a lot of people are being forced because there's a spiritual awakening happening, and just what we went through and other people, and now it's a collective. And if enough people are having this awakening on the planet, then the entire planet is going through a spiritual awakening. One of the most beautiful things about that is the fact that you're not alone. You're not the only crazy person out there that's having these encounters. You turn on a podcast like this, and we're about to dive really deep on these experiences and try to make some sense out of it,
No, you're definitely not alone. It will feel like you are a lot of the time, because even spiritual experiences, like you do the plant medicines and you have a Kundalini awakening, whatever it is, it's so unique to who you are that on some level, to honor it, you have to go into that space alone. However, you'll have a soul tribe, strong mentors, spiritual teachers around you that will help you go within and hold you as you dissect the information, you make sense of it, and you navigate like the big changes and transitions in your life you'll be called to make. Like, I love what you said before, Truth. You said it's a call and a burden.
Yeah.
Because it does, sometimes the day sometimes feel heavy. You do feel like, oh, I can't believe I signed up for this. There's a soul contract, like, I'm contracted to help assist with the awakening of the planet. I'm called to quit my corporate job, or this thing I thought I was doing, the trade I was trained in, to go in this whole new direction. And that can feel like a burden at times. It can feel really like overwhelming.
That's interesting you say that. And I'm just thinking about my story. I quit my 9-to-5 and I felt like I was missing something. I felt like I was called to do something greater: music, healing, podcasting, writing books, right? And so I knew there was a call there, but I was at a job that sucked. Like, it didn't really pay well, and I didn't like it. I did it. I was by myself a lot, so that was cool. But there's people who have these awakenings in the corporate world who are like stepping away from like a lot of money and stuff that people would kill for, right? Let's talk about that, because like, I help a lot of people transition from crappy jobs that they hate. Those are the people who come to me. But there's people jobs that they love, but they're like, you know what? It's not fulfilling.
Absolutely. I got a scholarship to uni. I worked at the big banks in London. I got into publishing in my late 20s, and I rose through the ranks to become a CFO, a finance director in Simon & Schuster. It's a really big, well-known publishing house, right? And I always wanted to make it to the top, right? And the top is probably a part of the old paradigm of success. I did an MBA, and I really loved so many aspects of that job. It fulfilled many of my values, and after my awakening, I realized my values were no longer in alignment with what the job provided. Right. So I started to relate to myself differently. And it was like this 3-year inner battle that I had, where I was this CFO finance director earning great money by day. And by night and weekends, I was doing psychic readings, the psychic fairs. Yeah. I was on psychic TV, and I did own it. I didn't hide that part of myself, but I did think to myself, how long can I do both worlds? Yeah. And I think everyone that has an awakening, you have to be prepared to do two things at the same time and manage the transition, manage it financially. We're in a 3D world. You got to pay your bills, and you got to figure out what amount of money do I need to create a space to start my healing business. You also have to adjust your lifestyle, right? And there's a purification and detoxification process. I still drive a really nice car, but sometimes I think, oh, how do I pay the insurance on it? And I can afford it now. My business is flourishing. But I had 3 or 4 years there, even when I wrote my book, where I really was living monk style, and it was very humbling. It's very good for the ego to detach from all of these things you think are so important. I think that's part of the awakening process, to let go of everything your ego and your identity is attached to, and then kind of rebuild from scratch. It wasn't easy. And I think, like you say, Truth, so many people are having awakenings in the corporate world. I take my hat off to corporates. They are being bridge makers. People in HR are actually trying to bring in courses, meditation, anger management, awakening, like what does it mean to have some space in your day for yourself? And
Yeah.
COVID has really assisted that.
Yeah, that's the interesting. And like, you got to bridge the gap, because some people have the awakening and they get out of that. They leave it. This doesn't fulfill me. Whether they're changing oil and like, you know what, I don't want to do this, or they're making, hundreds of thousands, a month, the tens of thousands a month, whatever. Like, it's different. But there's people in the corporate world who move in a realm of faith and intuition and knowing, and they're playing with big money. So most of us, I would say, we're in a place where we don't know those people as much as we know the people on a smaller level. Because, like when awakening happened, it's just like it's people in your local church, there's people's everywhere, and they're hearing from God, and they're being led by spirit. Their lives are changed. They'll give you the last money in their pocket, and they're operating on such a level of intuition, and they're just really good people, and they hear from spirit. But there's a disconnect to think that there's not people who are in corporate world playing with hundreds of thousands, if not millions, who are still as intuitive and as hearing the voice of spirit speak to them in the night. Hey, give this person that, give this person that. And it's the same faith. It's the same unction. It's the same operation and function, but they're operating at a different level, especially when it comes to finances. They can do different things. I know people who can, God will wake them up and they'll say, hey, give that man a building. And they say, yes, Lord. And hey, I was told in a dream last night, I'm supposed to give you a building. Start your church. You don't owe me anything. I can't do that. And most people I know can't do that. But there's people operating in the corporate world who can, right?
Absolutely. We can't assume, the corporate world is a place where a lot of bad things happen.
Yeah.
We need economy. We need a functioning economy and commerce to be done in a conscious way more and more, so there isn't a big divide between the spiritually awakened and those in corporate. There's actually emerging now that happens where conscious leadership is called for. It's imperative. And I think a lot of executives now are getting that, and they're actually leaning into intuitive spiritual tools. They take meditation, they take their miracle hour in the morning really seriously. They turn up anxious and depressed and in a trigger state. They know they're downloading that whole nervous system onto all their employees. And I think right now the spiritually awakened don't have a tolerance for that. And those kinds of leaders are going to lose some of their best employees. So I think there's so many more executives that are now conscious. And I think spirituality is a given. It used to be this thing that you did. And when I had my awakening, like in my early 30s, such a long time ago, I had to walk the Buddhist way to meditate. There wasn't apps, there wasn't websites, there wasn't groups. I had to follow a religion to find a way to pray or meditate. And these days, there's so many more opportunities to access higher levels of consciousness. There's so many tools. You just got to get out there and find it. You got to find your tribe.
Yeah. I know we jumped right in. We haven't even, this is an introduction. They're getting to know you through this conversation for sure. But let's just stop right here. For people who don't know who you are, what you bring to the table, what you do, let's just go ahead and let everybody know who you are, what you do. And I say we start there. We've already started, but it's a good way to go ahead and plug it now.
We sure have. Yeah. Okay. So, I started my spiritual path working as a psychic medium, and I still have to see one-on-one clients. I love that kind of work. I'm a mentor and a coach, and I've written a book called Brave, Courageously Live Your Truth. And you know how it is, Truth, when you do a podcast, you live into the dharma of the creative thing you're doing. So in writing a book called Brave, I had to learn to be brave. So I take the readers through a path called the Courageous Path. And it's a path of living your life bravely. But I haven't always done that. So like I said, I was a corporate executive for 20 years. I was in the corporate world in finance. I was a finance director. I did an MBA, completely logical, and had this spiritual awakening in my late 30s. However, I know I was talking to spirit when I was about 12 years old. And I'm sure you find this a bit consistently with some of the guests you have on your podcast. But I had trauma when I was that young. And when we have trauma in our childhood, I feel the way I describe it to a lot of my students that have the same experience, there's this feeling of leaving your body, not wanting to be here in the human realm. There's a feeling of your consciousness lifting out of your head, your body, and lifting beyond. And it's really lucky kind of if this happens before puberty, because you're quite innocent. And on some ways, I naturally spoke to spirit and didn't think it was weird. The minute you hit your 20s, there's a whole lot of judgment and limiting beliefs. But when you're that young, I naturally would just sit there, look out the window and put myself into sort of trance state, just start speaking. And when I studied at the Arthur Findlay College in London, which is a pure mediumship college, one of the mediums there who assesses students, he said, you're a natural medium. You've never questioned spirit. And I never questioned talking to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought it was weird. I just thought it's something you do. And so knowing there's spirits around us is just something, it's been in my value set. And I had just a lot of experiences. And to be honest, as I went through my teenage years into my 20s, I felt really comforted knowing there was spirit on the other side's guiding me, because I had more faith in that side than this side.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I felt I was being helped more on that side than this side. Yeah. So I don't know if that resonates with your truth, that kind of trauma story, or, that difficulty.
I'm like a psychologist, man, because I've talked to so many people, and you start to, see these, like, everybody who's a powerful healer, they've been through some intense stuff, and so you're like, now, is it just a response to trauma? Is it an initiation? Are you just there's a lot of people who are just trying to make up for the bad stuff that they did as a teen and as an adolescent, and they hurt a lot of people. So now on this side, they're trying to help and right their wrongs. But that's one of the things that comes with it, is people who have been hurt and people who have been abused, and they know how bad it feels, and they don't want anybody to go through that. And they know that it messes with people's psyche. It messes with every relationship that you have. And we want to help, because we know that person is wounded. And if you don't heal what cut you, you'll bleed on the people who didn't do anything to you. And we see that a lot. So we do that. We champion that inner work in ourselves. And then we have the ability, we have the power and authority to pay it forward, because we have the map now, because simply what worked for us will work for them. It's not like it only works for some people. No, if you do this and you are committed, there's so many modalities that you can pick from. But again, championing that healing that everybody can partake in. It's amazing.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you say. I mean, I love teaching students to flourish. I feel like you and I are teachers to the teachers that are emerging, the younger generation coming through. What I feel is challenging about this path is we have this trauma that really smashes our self-belief and self-worth. Yet the irony is right, we want to find meaning in the wound, yet to step up and be a spiritual entrepreneur and really be visible with our voice, we've got to overcome those limiting beliefs about being seen. Mm-hmm. So many people get stuck in that part of the path where they're like, I'm a healer, but I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can speak. I don't know if my story is worthy. Yeah. So everyone sits on this knife edge, this cusp of like really understanding how amazing their gifts are as healers. But there's this tipping point where you've got to get to a momentum where you've got to start working and charging and speaking more. And knowing you count as a healer. And that is, I feel like, a really big space that a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs sit in and get really stuck.
Listen, we're learning. A lot of us are making it up as we go because we're remembering, but we don't have anyone to show us, or at least we didn't have anyone to show us. So it's like, let me try this. There's things that I mean, I'm a poster child of no, you can't do it like that. Don't do it this way. You can't do that. And it's like, let me show you better than I can tell you, and nobody's going to, and so this story of almost being the laughingstock of owning your truth to like, hey, this guy's pretty successful now. This stuff came full circle, and even in that book, continuing to move forward, like, creativity and downloads and inspiration of ideas that don't exist right now. Mm-hmm. And you have these far out ideas and of who you are, because nobody like you exists. Well, I'm a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Yeah, but you're authentically you. Yeah, you are influenced by Teal Swan and Greg Braden and some of these amazing people. Yeah, but nobody's you. And once you figure out who you are, and that's a path, that's a journey, and you're helping people do that, nobody can take that away from you. And you declare it. You set the standards. You learn, what I say is you learn universal law, and then you start to make your own rules within that. You make it up.
100%.
Okay, this is my rule. This is my price. Moving forward, I'm not gonna create anything less than this standard. I'm not going to accept friendships that don't honor and respect me. So we're like making the rules as we move forward, and we're not dropping down. We're calling people up higher, and that is part of this magic that we have here. And once people fully understand that, I'm still learning. I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm still learning, because I have a lot of big corporate people. Yeah, you can't do that. Can't do it. You're going to mess your business up. You got a great thing going. Don't do that. I kind of feel led to do it. And I've been led this far. Why give up now and follow you? I've followed my intuition here, and it's got me this far,
Absolutely.
Teaching people to do that. It's just... Man.
Teaching people to do that. We often think of brave in the larger sense, brave acts, right? Of courage, of saving people from fires and disasters and things like that. We don't think of bravery in the smaller sense of honoring ourselves, where, and the truth is truth, you incarnated to look a certain way with you as a male. I incarnated as a woman to look a certain way. And that's another thing. We're incarnated to be magnetic to the tribe that needs our medicine. And so when people have this fear about awakening and can I do what I need to do, it's like you're placed in that particular geographic location, looking a certain way, speaking with a certain accent, with a certain level of education, to become magnetic to people that need your medicine around you. So yeah, we can have Teal Swan and a whole lot of amazing people out there that also have influence, but there's nothing potent like being locally teaching, locally healing. We're a big world, and I think COVID's made Zoom and made us reach a lot of people, but it's also made us go quite local into community. And it starts with community, like where you were at, helping people locally.
So it seems like you've listened to some of my last podcasts where I begin to talk about, not liking some of my flaws and thinking that some of the things that I wanted to do, I felt like my look and my voice was against me, and I couldn't do it. Did you hear that at all?
No, I didn't hear it. No, I'm channeling something to give to you.
For sure. But it needs to be said, and it's something that was big for me and a lot of people out there, knowing that exactly who they are, be yourself. So for me, I'm a spiritual hip hop artist, and I started out doing gospel hip hop, and I have a voice for it, it comes across on record, but when it was like, I felt called to do guided meditations and intuitive healings and listen to my voice and relax and those kind of things. Like I stuttered a lot, there was so many things that was so far away. Like it was like, whatever lower energies, like, yeah, you'll never do that. You'll be the ghetto guy who does guided meditation, and all of these things in your head. And then people in the comment section will make fun of my voice and this kind of stuff, and even close friends not knowingly would say stuff, and he's using his guru voice now, guys, listen, and now he's using his rap voice. And it was so many reasons why you won't be able to do that. And to knowing that it was something that I was being called to do and I wanted to do, and I just stepped out and started doing
your
it.
Demographic that love your hip hop music is a gift.
I found
and they wouldn't listen to me or someone else, or they're going to listen to you because they're already listening to you, right?
Yeah.
And there's a group there that are on the cusp of awakening, or they've listened to you and then forget you, and then in 5 years' time go, I remember this guy called Truth. I'm going to check it out. You're planting seeds. Like there is this unique reason why you're there. Given this first part of your life as a hip hop artist, and the second you're like merging it, it's the new way forward.
Yeah.
And men, the consciousness of the planet, we need men to lift, because a lot of women have had the awakening already, right? So women need the men to follow so that we can have conscious relationships.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot lately too. You say that.
Yeah, there's a lot of work for men. There's a lot of service.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a big audience there, and you've got a lot of women supporting you to awake the men. We need that to happen.
For sure. And it's you carve your own lane, you know, and there's nothing like it that exists. So if that's the case, then there are no rules. You're creating the rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And, you know, writing my book, Brave, Courageously Live Your Truth, what I didn't realize was how brave I had to be to write that. Because when you go public, you have to be really comfortable with being disliked. And I wasn't ready for that. And that was another initiation on my spiritual path. Was like, you just want to be liked and accepted. And I was like, I've got to be really okay that people may not like my message. They may not get my writing. And for every person, it's like universal law that for everyone that doesn't, there is a lot that do.
Yeah.
So I had to get comfortable. If I want a lot of people to read my book, I'm going to have to be okay with people that don't like me. And that is coming home to yourself, because it's not my business if they don't.
Exactly. I've got I don't have a lot of negative reviews on my book, but some of them, there's like a couple 1-stars. I read one the other day on Amazon, and it was like a 1-star review, and the review was nothing about the book. It says this person charges for healing sessions, and the Bible says we shouldn't do that. And that was their review, and gave me a 1-star on my book on a one-on-one healing session that, you know, you block off that hour of time to spend with you that I have a value on. It was like, wow, you know, people, there's so many nuances to this of people that they have setbacks. There's a thing that you can't. They've been told that you can't, and it's true. You can't until you do. You can't charge.
Absolutely.
You can't charge for a healing session until you do. And then once you do, you're like, okay, I now charge for sessions. I'm going to help you. It's going to be the greatest hour of your life. I'm going to tell you everything that I know. I'm going to intuitively pick up on what you're going through. Listen, there's no price on that. There really isn't. It's going to save you months, if not years of heartache. And like putting worth and value, that's a big one for a lot of people to get over. And I've seen them make their way up that mountain and come back down. I did it. What was your experience with doing sessions and like charging for your time? And there's a stigma where it should be free, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, look, I struggled to charge a lot at the beginning. So I charged 50 Australian dollars, which is like 50 US for like a whole hour. And then I'd go over the hour because I wanted to make sure that they walked away healed, right? And now as someone, a practitioner, many years into this work, I don't presume I can heal anyone. I do see myself as a channel for the divine, for a high consciousness to work through me. I'm unattached to what happens to clients. However, I know that the divine's working through me, so there will be magic and miracles and transformation. And I've been able to successfully increase my prices because I know that what I give to people changes their life forever. And like you said, Truth, there is no value. In fact, what I charge isn't enough, because to bring the greatest love in for you, to find your soulmate, to find your calling, to lose that feeling of lost and to find yourself, if I can be that for you. I've paid a lot of money over the years to so many healers and practitioners, and I've never questioned it. They've got me here, and I'm so grateful, so filled with gratitude.
Yeah. I tell people too, you know, we do courses and we talk about a lot of stuff, and people who really listen to a lot of my content, when they do a session or they do a program with me, a lot of the stuff that I share, you hear in this podcast. Like there's a lot of gems that we're both sharing right now. And like, I don't think that I hide anything behind a paywall, because it just comes out of me, and I'm not, oh, don't hold it back. That's only for the paying people, you know, no. But if you want a personal session, if you want to learn really close for this, there's a gateway. But if you want to learn, it's out there. You got to listen to every podcast. You got to listen to every interview. You got to go get my books. It's out there, you know. But if you want to find a coach and somebody to pour into you, bypass a lot of time and literally, you know, hold your hand through this process of making sense of it, it's worth it. I remember, you know, booking my first session. That was a high dollar session. You know, for me, the guy, it was $400 for a session and a minimum of 4 sessions, but a lot of stuff was transferred. I learned so much because this person was operating at such a high level, and I just want to pick your brain for can I pick your brain for 4 hours? You know, and we went over the time, and what I received was beyond any money, you know, anything, you know what I'm saying, monetary value. And to know that we can pay that forward and find a coach for anything that you're doing. You talk about university, and there's universities that you pay and they train you and equip you and send you out like you're going to go do this and get a degree for it, right?
Absolutely.
And you did that. You went to Hogwarts.
I did that.
Man.
I did it multiple times. I did an MBA as well. That's why I wrote my program. It's called Awakening Intuition. And I wrote it because when I had my awakening, I thought there was no foundational course. So I run it over 10 weeks. It's actually starting this Thursday. It's a foundation of what you do when you have an awakening. First lesson, spirit guides. What are spirit guides? How do you meet them? How do you contact? Protection. Because the two main questions I get asked by most people: how do I have spirit guide? How do I meet mine? Do I have spirit guides? How do I know if it's safe? And then the whole protection. I'm feeling darkness around me. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's a very basic level, class 1. That's what I cover. And then we go into all the psychic senses. Yeah. And then we talk about the path of ascension, like what is it like to ascend? And I think just this structured teaching style. And what people get from you and I is they get like our 15 years and our lifetime and soul's lifetime of knowledge in an hour. So we fast track, like we quantum leap them into new paradigms in the same way our teachers did for us. Yeah. They quantum leaped our soul so we can grow. The time is now in this day and age to grow our souls, because the vibration of the earth can really allow us to like accelerate. Yeah.
Awesome. We're going to talk a little bit more. We got to go to a quick break. Sheila on the other side. We'll be right back after this, guys. Hang with us. Wow. So the throne room meditation, man, this was just like a new level for me of creating encounter. Really the process behind it is going in for myself, having an encounter with the Lord, tapping into the Spirit and getting in His presence, and really just petitioning the Father's heart and saying, God, what would you say to them? If I'm bringing these people with me here, if they're doing this guided meditation and we're going through this journey, we're having fun, we're seeing things, we're experiencing new feelings and emotions and sensations, what would you say to them? So it's channeling the Father's heart and relating it back to the people. So man, it's just a beautiful encounter. And I remember when I wrote the first one, I was so excited about it, and it was just God speaking to my heart. I was able to channel the Father's heart, and I would read the script to people because I was just so excited while I was working on it. And every time that I would just read the script, the presence of God would just invade me, and I just burst into tears, and I couldn't even read it. I'm just like, let me copy and paste it and send it to you. But every time I listen to it, I'm immediately translated back into the throne room of God, and everything's good there. That's the place where everything is okay, where in the scriptures it says that we are to hide under the shadow of the Almighty. This is the throne room of God. This is the place that we can encounter for ourselves, but this is also a place in which we dwell. So a part of us is always there, and we have access to that. Now there's people who have never encountered this before in their life, and it's a totally new experience for them. And almost every time I get a testimony back from someone, they just say how God wrecked their lives, that they didn't know what they were getting into. The next thing they know, they're in the presence of God, wrapped up in His glory. He's communicating His love to them, and it just totally wrecks their lives. So make sure you check out the throne room guided meditation, visualization that I brought to the table.
There are things that go bump in the night. Pull up a chair. Don't be scared, for you have many friends unaware on the TruthSeekah podcast.
TruthSeekah podcast.
TruthSeekah.
Center.
He seems like a nice guy.
You're listening to the TruthSeekah podcast. Now, back to the show.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Sheila V. Sheila, we've been kind of getting into your story a little bit, and we've just been connecting on some of the healer talk, right? I just launched this program, and you got some stuff going on. It's a passion. It just comes out of us. But I want to hear your story. I love the Genesis stuff. Again, like what happened, how the first things that happened. Like, did you have any experiences when you were a kid? You know, and you talked a little bit about that, but things get weird, you know, it's things are normal as a kid. There's nothing to reference it off of, a weird experience, you know, and then you grow up and then other things begin to happen. You begin to be a teenager and a book comes across your path, you know, and in this huge spiritual awakening that you've kind of been like being, I would say, dare I say, groomed into your entire life. Talk a little bit about how this stuff started for you, because we'll get into I like the part on how you got into university, but I want you to kind of start off small and then like segue and how that you ran in there, I would say.
Yeah, like I think we're absolutely groomed from the day we're born, and we just only connect the dots much later in life. So I had my first vivid memory of seeing spirit when I was probably 3 years old. And I know that happened because I don't remember my dad really holding my hand. And I remember waking up and sobbing, and I was uncontrollable sobbing. And my mother and my father were walking me around the house. And it's probably the first time I shut down my psychic abilities, right? So you've also got to know that you probably inherited your psychic abilities from one ancestral line. So my parents had an arranged marriage. My dad's an intelligent, intellectual doctor, and my mother comes from a line of mediums. So I had these mediumistic psychic abilities from my mum's side of the family. But my dad, I looked and sounded like my dad, and I was intelligent. So I always thought, I don't have the abilities. So I feel like we have two awakenings. There is one trauma that happens in your childhood. So for me at 12, things were really tough at home. I didn't want to be around the arguing and all the challenges I was going through. And my dad was really tough on me. And so I did disassociate from my body. I did leave. I didn't want to be there. And that began me a training from spirit to learn how to energetically connect to the other side and just start to naturally talk. That clairsentience started to kick in, the claircognizant, the clear knowings around me. And then I shut myself down. I got a scholarship to uni to become an accountant, a chartered accountant, which is really the most boring job I could have chosen because I've got too much personality. I'm too creative. But anyway, it was safe and it made sense. I got a scholarship to uni. So I pursued it, right? And I found love when I got to the publishing industry. And so I did that and climbed all the ranks. And yet I had so many intuitive psychic experiences all the way through. Even my job, I'd have knowings about things. I would, little things from just knowing who was calling you on the phone to just premonitions of events that had to happen or were about to happen. And then I feel like there's two awakenings, one when you're a child. And then my awakening when I was in my late 30s was a really significant loving relationship ended suddenly. I lost my job, my apartment flooded. And it was this, in my book, I call it the dark night of courage. It's this horrible series of events that kind of rocks your foundation. And I don't know if you had this truth, but there's this really big thing that happens in your adulthood that kind of makes you change your life. And you kind of get things removed so you can replace it with things that are more in line with your vibration. Mm-hmm. And then after I had this big breakup, I was so lonely, I started to do intuition and psychic workshops. I didn't even know why. I just started to do them. I'd been doing the religious thing for ages and meditation, but I had this feeling, no, I want to actually just see what intuition even is. And then in this workshop, I could see the client's dead uncle around her. I started to describe him. I could see her daughter. The daughter actually had disabilities. And I got a really strong download. She'll be able to ride a bike one day. And I didn't even know why I was saying it to her because I didn't know the level of disability. And the mother started to cry to me. And it was this thing, truth, where I realized, oh my God, I've got these abilities and it can really heal people and help them through difficulty. And once I had that knowing, I began my formal apprenticeship to train as a psychic and a medium. And I don't know about you, but like I began to devour spiritual textbooks. Every last dollar and every last hour I had spent, I read. There wasn't podcasts back then. So I literally sat in workshops with teachers. I flew to London and studied at the Arthur Findlay College, and I read. and I highlighted it and put post-it notes and come back to them. And I'd sit alone, introverted in my apartment, and I didn't want to be disturbed. And if anyone invited me out, I was like, I go, no, I've got plans tonight. Like, what are your plans?
Material.
Reading. Exactly. I became this like really introverted spiritual hermit. And again, I think that's part of the path too. It's part of training, right?
Yeah.
To get your knowledge up to speed.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
And talk about when you ended up going to university. You talk about like just trying to find the place and kind of going in there like almost frantic. And when you go inside,
oh, is this the Arthur Findlay College?
Yeah.
So I arrived in London and it was the middle of winter, right? So it's cold in England, right? It doesn't get that cold in Sydney. And I just left the Sydney heat wave, and I was still questioning my abilities. Like I was still, I don't know if you ever had this moment, Truth, where you're like, am I really psychic? Can I really speak to the dead? Like, is that what I'm doing? Channeling? So still not quite, even though I'd done so many readings, I still didn't quite believe it. And I think we need validation. There's definitely a part on the spiritual path you need validation, right? And I think honor it. And at some point you won't need validation. But I got to this college and I ran up the gravel pathway with my 30 kilogram suitcase, and I burst through the doors and I was like, I'm here. I'm so excited. I'm here. And these two conservative ladies behind the desk were like, yes. They were trying to quieten me down because obviously, it was a quiet place, and they're like, fill in the forms. And there was this process because there's like 80 students in this castle in England. You stay there and you eat meals together and you study. And I just wanted to scream, because it was like, it was this secret place where I could be seen and didn't have to pretend on any level. And I just couldn't believe I'd found that. And all these people of different shapes and sizes, old women, young women, it didn't matter what we did. We didn't even really talk about it. All we knew is we were all mediums.
Yeah.
And that bonded us in the most soul family way, that's all that mattered. It didn't matter if you had a job or what your job was or how important you thought you were or weren't. It was like, I'm here to speak to the dead like you are. Like, and then it became honoring the craft. So from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, we did drills and exercises with some of the best teachers in the world. And we really got to hone the craft. And I went 3 times in a year, and it was some of the best study I did. They say a week at the Arthur Findlay College, it's like a year training outside. You really accelerate. And it was the best thing I did. And I came back and I knew I was a medium, and I knew that was the work I had to do. It was a defining moment, definitely.
That sounds magical, like Hogwarts. And it's the fact that it actually looked like a castle, like you said too,
It was like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It was sorting hats and everything. Like, you ever put in the classes and we all sat in the exact same places, every mealtime, and you just felt like it was a magical, mystical place.
What you're describing, being a part of that, and we get to create that now, which is the awesome thing, and so I do that with online space and with my podcast, and people meet, people start dating, like people fly out and go meet people in the community, like so many cool things that like you create the space that's safe and for people to be themselves and meet the others, find the others. And also when we do retreats, so we do retreats and stuff, and people have been listening to my podcast for years, and they've been in the YouTube chat comment section for years. And then finally, hey, TruthSeekah's doing a retreat. I'm flying out there. I'm driving out there, be a part of it. And then you get to see them for the first time in the flesh, and you get to hug them and be in the same space with them. And we do so much woo-woo, spiritual, fun stuff because I love it all. But nothing is even more important than just being in the same room with them, like you said. Like, hey, this person understands me. Because where I live, most people tell you they don't know anybody. Like in the physical reality, they can just go hang out with the person and talk about, you go summon UFOs in an open field. Let's practice our intuition and I'm thinking of a number. What do you get? They don't know people like that. So we create a safe online space or retreats. Speaking of that, you've got a retreat coming up as well. Can you talk a little bit about your retreats and creating those spaces where people can facilitate and stuff, and
well,
what
it's
all
in
you guys
Sydney,
do?
so it's a bit quite far from your listeners.
We got listeners over there. We got listeners
amazing.
in Australia.
Got a retreat in
Sydney,
Sydney, and it's in Greater Sydney, and it's being held at the end of the year in summer, and I can't wait. It's going to be oracle readings, channeling, supercharging your intuition. Amazing group of women. There's already 14 women that are booked in. I've got spots for about 4 or 5 more. I've got a course starting in 2 days' time called Awakening Intuition. So that's run on Zoom, and it's actually run in the American time zone and Sydney time zone in the morning. So it'll be Wednesday, your time, 7 p.m. And it's 10 weeks, and we have so much fun for 90 minutes every week. We do psychic exercises. It's totally safe. Every question's valid. Nothing's too weird or too silly. It's a beginner fundamental course to support you in your awakening. And I just ran it with 10 students, and we finished last week, and they just love each other. I mean, the kind of channeled messages they gave to each other and the ancestors they brought through for each other. It was just such a loving space.
Listen, like, how does it make you feel the first time? Because you're like a mother, you facilitate this. You have the gift of administration. That experience does not happen unless you facilitate it and you create it, and you find yourselves in these really magical situations. Like, I helped facilitate this. Like, I was being used for the greater good, but I had to be obedient. Like, when you see one of your students, when you see somebody come into a circle in a coaching session and they step out for the first time. Talk to me how that makes you feel when somebody gets a message for the first time and they share it and they're scared. Maybe this is what they're saying, and then the person they're sharing it with just breaks and the two click. Like, that's just so amazing when you're able to facilitate.
You can't even put a price on it. It's pure joy from my soul and all the other students, even watching that student, and you see all the students physically change over the course. Because they're holding more light by the end. Their confidence is phenomenal, and they're excited that they can start serving and living their purpose. Me as a teacher, it's the greatest thing. Like, you couldn't take me back to the corporate world to do my old corporate job. Even doesn't matter what the salary is. When I do this, I'm like, I'm
not going back. I'm not going back.
Not going back. You can't, you realize money is money, right? And the universe has given me abundance in so many other ways since doing this work. And you might've found that truth. I've had abundance come in really amazing ways. So you're not forgotten. You're really taken care of.
Especially when you doubt it. When you start with, oh, damn, mate, this ain't working out. And then a random person, here's a large donation. Wow. Okay, God, I'm listening. I'm sorry for doubting. I'm sticking with it. Whatever it is, it shows up how you like provision and finances. If God gives you the vision, he'll also give you the provision to make it happen.
Yeah, I love that. That is so true. You've the lived experience. I do too. I nearly had to go back to corporate. And my dad randomly rang me out of the blue one day and just said, hey, I'm just going to give you some money. And I was like, he didn't even have a reason. And I was like, oh my gosh, that saved me and given me another 4 or 5 months for me to finish writing my book. Even the way the book deal came about, people that have helped me with marketing. It's just the thing with this path, when you really show up, you make so many soulmate friends, and all of the past lives come together, and there's a remembering. And the energy exchange is so natural. You just want to give because there's a remembering. I took in a past life. I'm here to give, and it comes maybe not from the same person, but you really get give and exchange. You really learned that lesson of flow. Yeah,
and just to be in it. The weird thing about being in it is when you're out of it too.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable when you're out. You feel icky.
There's no synchronicity, no synchronicities happening. Like, hey, where's the 333s? Where's the TV saying the same thing that I'm saying right when I think it? That kind of stuff.
Yep.
And when it dries up, you're like, I got to get back into alignment. Yeah.
You don't, and the further on the path, you're out of alignment faster. You stay out, I think, shorter, and you've got people to help you back.
Yeah, 100%.
The detoxing the body, the mind. The pull to the old ways or old friends or old belief sets with family. You sit there and you're like, that doesn't feel good. Like this new feeling I have, I want more of that.
Hey, I just got on, taking care of my body and working out and eating healthy. And, we did the idea of a cheat day or a cheat weekend, and so we ended up like working hard. You know, I lost 30 pounds and I feel really good. And been getting a lot of compliments and all that. But it's like, we're talking about a cheat day. It's like, hold on, a cheat day is going to set me back 3 days of hard work. Like, I can cheat and loathe and slam a whatever burger or whatever, like really overdo it, or I can just keep eating this healthy stuff, which makes me feel amazing, and I'm not gonna feel heavy and bloated and beat myself up. The same is to be said for the things of the spirit. Like, I can do this, and I know I'm going against my greater judgment to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want it so bad. And I've always wanted it. Here's the perfect opportunity. No, I'm not doing it, because you know how it makes you feel when you get out of alignment. So all of the times you do get out and off, they're all learning experiences.
Oh, 100%. I think you have to get off to learn what that feels like.
Yeah.
There is definitely a cycle of going back to the old world, the new world. And then before you know it, you're more in the new world. And we're here to grow and evolve. So the lessons are never going to end.
Yeah.
It's just how you play with the lessons.
For sure, Sheila. You got an amazing website. You got a lot of stuff that you offer. You got your book. You have your program that's about to launch. You do sessions, so much stuff. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find out more about your work and some of the stuff that they can look forward to on your website.
Yeah, so you can find me at sheilav.co, SHEILAV.co, or Instagram, Sheila_V, or on Facebook. I've got a closed Facebook group where sometimes I do live readings. So that's called Be Brave Tribe. So private message me. I respond individually to every message I get, and I love to hear from people. So share your story with me.
Good stuff. Sheila, we got to do this again. Let me know when we can make it happen, and I'll want to have you back on, and I know we can just keep going, rolling ideas off of one another and stories. And it's so, like, we call it testimonies, right? Like, we show people what's possible, and if it worked for me, it can work for you. Same with you, Sheila. Sometimes we hold people's hands and help them, but let me be an example. Like, I can show you better than I can tell you. I can tell you all day, but I want to be the example. And I'm not gloating or bragging how I did it and what it costs. When I say it and when we share and we talk about it, it's so that you pick it up, that we're broadcasting, we're planting seeds. And if that seed falls upon the soil of fertile, good ground of your heart, that you'll take a piece of that and you'll cultivate it and you'll plant that tree and you'll water it, and it will flourish into something beautiful that you can eat from for you and your family and your children's children for years to come. Sheila, thanks for coming on the podcast, my friend. Enjoyed it so much. Literally, let me know. I want to do this again when we can hang out for longer.
I want to come back too. It's been amazing, Truth. Thank you so much.
Sheila, thanks for coming on. We'll do it again pretty soon, my friend. Thank you. Have a good night. Shalom. Sheila V, ladies and gentlemen, on the TruthSeekah podcast. Listen, I hope that you guys got something out of that conversation. If anything, getting to hear two people connect. Like, connect. I don't have a lot of people I get to talk to, guys, like that are kind of like doing the same thing that I do, that I get to, like, you're hearing a genuine conversation, like genuine questions. Those are the best podcasts anyway, when I can connect and there's so much common ground that we can go anywhere and just double down on the conversation, versus having people on here and you guys know where it's like, I ran out of questions. Thanks for hanging out. Like, listen, it's like, whatever you want to talk about, let's throw it out there. I just want to get your wisdom. I want to pick your brain. And so really enjoyed that talk with Sheila. So make sure you guys go check out her work. I know I got a lot of people listening in Australia. I know them personally. We interview people in Australia all the time. We have a lot of listeners over there. So make sure that you guys who are looking to get involved with some stuff, some retreats and getting away in nature, we need it more than ever right now, especially over there. They're still dealing with a lot of stuff. So make sure you guys look her up, check her out, and check out her book as well. And the website, again, I'm going to go ahead and share it one more time. It is sheilav.co. Bunch of really cool stuff, programs, coaching, memberships. Make sure y'all check it out. If anybody has any questions for me, I got a little bit longer. I don't have anywhere to be right now. And people hit me up all the time and they say, hey, TruthSeekah, can I talk to you? Can I ask you a question? And a lot of times when people ask me these really deep questions, like in an inbox, I honestly don't have, I'm not the best typer, and so to answer that person back, it's like, I'd rather send you a voice chat or join me on the podcast, because that question that you have, most likely somebody else either has that same question or will have that question. And so say, hey, I want to get your idea on this. What do you believe about that? So, because what I do, I could send you a link. Hey, I went for an hour and a half talking about my thoughts on UFOs or my thoughts on this particular scripture or whatever the case is. So if anybody has any questions, I've seen a lot of comments here. I've been watching. Let me know here in the chat, and I'll try to get to some of those here in a moment. I'm going to go ahead now and see what we got going on. Christopher Teresa says, peace, TruthSeekah. Stephen Cook's with us in the chat. Chris Moore, Nathaniel Mark Mason, Michael Ramirez. Let's see. Stephen says, you're not doing it on YouTube anymore, live anymore. I just tried to find it. Yeah, this is on YouTube for sure. Yeah, we're on YouTube. We got some people over there. Let's see, reading through some of these comments. Eliza T says, I heard your story on Jim Harold's campfire, and your voice is what made me look you up. Wow. Didn't know it was one of your insecurities. Never would have known. See? If I wouldn't have said nothing, nobody would know. But, you know, it's part of encouraging people to let them know, listen, everybody doubts. Everybody has insecurities and fear of failure and fear of being ridiculed or whatever. So many people have those insecurities, so much so that they never step out. They never move because of fear of ridicule, fear of judgment, and so many other fears that come along with that. So, but look, when you step out, you got something that somebody needs. Again, there's a bunch. It's Till Swan's already out there. Greg Braden's already out there. You know, now TruthSeekah's already out there. Don't even be me. Like, you can learn from me. You can, you know, but be yourself, because everybody else is already taken. And once you do that, you have something unique. You have a staple. Nobody does it quite like you. And hopefully you'll be able to channel that beautiful energy and that creativity that you have. And it's something unique that the world needs, right? The world needs it. We don't need another this. We don't need another that. We need you to be authentically you, because you don't exist. And so I've definitely carved out my own lane. It's in the middle of a lot of lanes, but it's its own thing. And nothing like this has ever existed. And it's empowering people to speak their truth, to find community, and not be afraid, and to take chances and show you that you can do it. And if that's all I bring to the table, which I know it's a lot more, but it's worth it, just to let people know, listen, there is no fear of ridicule or rejection. Whatever your truth is, get clear on it, honor it, and step out. Going to the comments here. Crypto Mojito, he joined from over there on the UFO Hub, the interview I did over there. So make sure you guys listen to that one. I love being interviewed. I love to interview people, but I love being interviewed as well, because I get asked questions that when I share my story and share my experiences, people bring out like other parts of it, and they double down on, just like when I listen to somebody and I've got different questions that the guest, the host didn't ask. And I, hey, let me talk to you. So when I go on other people's shows, people ask me stuff about my story, and we get to approach it from different perspectives. And the UFO Hub interview was a really good one that we did just the other day, and we got pretty deep. So make sure you guys go check out that one, UFO Hub, and type in TruthSeekah, and it'll come up on YouTube. It should. Nathaniel Mark Mason says, Derek, know this, you are the oracle of the Most High. Thank you, brother, and so are you. So are you. Big homie Mickey says, cryptocurrency is the future. Dylan Mason says, powerful. He says, hi, I'm Mason too. Two Masons. Yeah, I was reading his name. I was like, is that you, Dylan? Is it Dylan? But then Dylan pops in. But see, right when I seen Mason, and I thought of Dylan, and then Dylan pops up in the chat. That's how that works, man. Good to have you with us tonight, Dylan. See. Big homie Mickey says, can you talk about the angel number 9999? I don't know much about it. I don't know much about that number. Now the next comment, which is from Dylan Mason, he says 333. I can talk a little bit about 333. Yeah, 333 is I would say it's an angel number, and it represents synchronicity, right? All of the numbers represent synchronicity. It's about a divine knowing, but it really, from my studies and my experience, represents angelic contact. That the angels, that God, that the higher beings are trying to get your attention. It's something good, it's something beautiful, that you're on awakening, because those numbers have been there the whole time. You've just become cognitive of those numbers. And then when you begin to see them over and over, repetitive number cycles, it is vital where the mind goes. Look, visitation spark revival. The rest is left within denial. When you see those numbers, they mean something. Something is knocking at your door trying to get your attention. There's no way that this is a coincidence. No way. Now we can debate and argue and talk about the endless possibilities of what it is. And that's what this podcast is for. But we know something is happening. Something or someone is trying to get our attention. We've been covering this a lot. And that term, synchronicity, people are looking that up. You know why? Because my song synchronicity is like skyrocketing right now on all social platforms. Apple Music, Spotify, the song synchronicity is like going up. It's being added to playlists. People are sharing it. You know why? Because people are looking up that term, synchronicity, and they're finding this song with Stephen the Voice Cook, TruthSeekah, and Illuminati Congo, and they're listening to it, and it's unlocking things with them, and that's their introduction to my catalog. That's their catalyst into my podcast, and the two are married. So all things work together for the good of those who love God, for that greater purpose. Everything, setbacks, setups, everything works together for the good of those who love God. We'll get to some more questions. Go ahead and post them in the chat. Anybody has anything else that they want to ask me, my opinions, my thoughts, I'll try my best. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything, but I will try to help. We're going to go to another quick commercial, and after that, we'll jump back to your questions. If you are a patron, if you are on Patreon, you have the ability to join and ask questions on the air. So make sure you go to the Patreon and check that out. We'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
Elementals are different. Elementals are really strange. I've seen elementals. I've had one-on-one experience with elementals. I don't know exactly what they are. All I know is what to call them. But I've had incidents where I have been in the company of elementals. They're spirit creatures, like fairies, and the Irish are very big on talking about the different fairies and the different magical little creatures. Leprechauns, I have seen gnomes and leprechauns, and fairies. These are what we call the elementals. They are legitimately life forms, but they don't live in the world you do. They live in a different kind of world, an elemental world. But we call them the elementals. It's quite a subject. Life outside of being a human. What is life like in the spirit world? And that's what you're talking about in your book.
I explore these concepts and more in my new book, Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God. Forward by Jordan Maxwell. Available now at TruthSeekah.com.
Hi folks, I'm Santos Bonacci, and I am now tuned in to The Awakening. Music is one of the most powerful expressions of truth that we have. It is a very powerful consciousness expander and a great medium for transmitting truth. Check out the work of TruthSeekah at TruthSeekah.com for some great and powerful consciousness expanding music.
Self-medicated, I was contemplating psilocybin. I know they hate it, but Mother Nature prescribed it. Look within while meditating in silence. Step into the inner core, either through the iris.
Aloha. Aloha to you. That's what's good. Thank you. TruthSeekah says, what's up? What's up? TruthSeekah and myself, we had a deep ass conversation. It was a long ass time ago. I smoked one. I went off. I went crazy.
The TruthSeekah podcast, it's the best podcast. I mean, it really is. I've heard a few, and his is the best. They debunked the prophecies saying, I was your president. I'm not. I'm really not. But keep listening, and you will learn something cool. I'm sure of it, like really sure.
$20 to the mall.
You're listening to the TruthSeekah podcast. Now, back to the show.
This is it. Don't get scared now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. I love that little sound effect. Could you guys hear what was going on? I know for the people who are listening in the podcasting apps, but those are some animations for those of you who are going back and listening to this and you couldn't hear it. You hear like this little scenario going on, but those are some animations that I was working with an animator. He did a cartoon and I kind of like scripted it for him and drew pictures of what I wanted, and he got to bring it to life. And so that was really cool to work with him, and I've got a couple that I've done for those. But at the end, the little the demon, the little night terror guy, walks through the door, and he just kind of tiptoes up to the bed like he's about to attack me or something. You know, I had a sleep terror experience, and he just goes over to my ear. He's about to say something. He says, "Hey, let me borrow $20 to tomorrow. Let me borrow $20 to tomorrow." Let me know, like, if you're listening on the podcast app, like, email me. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, wherever, let me know if you could understand what they were saying, because there was a couple people who said that they couldn't understand what they were saying. Like, it's a viral TikTok meme from Planet of the Apes or whatever. It's hilarious, but if you haven't seen that meme, you might not be able to understand what this guy is saying on the commercial. I might need to change it. Let me know, because I need to roll this. I don't have many people to roll this stuff off of. I go to my audience. Let me know in the emails or comments. Speaking of viral, I talked about it last week. You know, we went and seen POD, and we had that beautiful encounter with the band POD. I brought a friend of mine, Steven, and Steven Scott, and he's in a wheelchair, and he had a beautiful encounter in the mosh pit. You know, I ran him through the mosh pit at the POD concert, and we're spinning him around, and everybody's celebrating him and slapping him on the chest, and he's one of the guys, and a beautiful experience. So much so that the lead singer of POD says, "Hey, give it up for my man," like from the stage, and then he like motions for us to come up front, and we push up to the stage, and it just created a magical encounter. Sonny comes down off the stage and hugs him and kisses him, and just begins to like lay hands over him and pray for him, and then he sings over him, and then we get to go up on stage. All that was caught on camera. My daughter filmed it. I had no idea it was being filmed. I'm glad it was. She followed me in the mosh pit with the camera and got it all on camera. And I think when I spoke about this, it had a couple 100,000 views. Like last week when I spoke on, I don't know what the 100,000 or 20,000 or 30,000. I don't know. I forgot the number. But at this point, like a week later, right at a week later, it's been out a week. Checked it a couple hours ago, 1.4 million views on Facebook. It went viral. Sonny re-uploaded it from POD. He re-uploaded it to Instagram. He re-uploaded it to his Facebook, and other people are sharing it out. It's on TikTok. It's on my YouTube. And most of them, they just got a couple views. You know, Sonny's got a couple, 30,000, I think it was 30-something thousand on Instagram, maybe on Facebook. But my original video, 1.4 million views, like going viral. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure you go and check it out. That was a magical moment, and I spoke about it on one of the last episodes of of just, how much it meant to me on so many levels. Just a magical moment because, again, life is a roller coaster. And on a roller coaster, it's filled with some amazing highs. The lead singer of POD comes down and embraces your friend and kisses him and sings to him and invites you up on stage with him. And then even with, my friend who got to experience that, and I helped to facilitate it. Like if I didn't do it, it wouldn't have happened. We talked about that earlier. If you don't do it, it won't happen. If you don't book it, if you don't tell people what's going on, it doesn't happen. I did it. It happened. Boom. An act of faith, act of kindness, and amazing experience happened for so many people. Not just me and him, but all the onlookers. Read the comment section. Everyone's crying. Everyone just watching it on TikTok. And people are crying watching this video. My goodness. It's such an honor to be a part of that. And I just it was just amazing. And if you haven't seen the video, make sure you go watch it. Life's a roller coaster. Beautiful highs like that. Such a beautiful high. And then there's some pretty gut-wrenching lows as well. There's things that happen when we lose people, when we lose friends who were really close to you and never speak to you again. Friends who were really close to begin to, become your enemies and ridicule you and try to turn people against you. Losing friends, losing loved ones, man. It happens. We all deal with it. It's part of this experience, though. Just know that it is part of the earth realm. It's why we're here. We're here to experience heartbreak, hurt, failure, loss, and the beautiful stuff. The beautiful stuff. I think it makes it caters to the contrast. The beautiful things are more beautiful because I've had some pretty crappy friends. So when you get a good friend in your life, hug them, keep them close. Let them know, hey man, I appreciate you like a lot. I really do. I value your friendship. I value the fact that you don't judge me, because I've had friends who do. And so there's beauty in the contrast in everything, in our spiritual encounters, spiritual awakening, everything that we go through in life. And so the highs, the mundane, normalcy, and the lows, it's all part of it. Be mindful, be in the moment, no matter which one you're in. If you're in between, if you're getting up, going up, like I talk about that old golden teacher experience, going up the rails on the roller coaster, click, 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 whoosh, we're off. Be present, be mindful for all the feelings, the air, the sun on your skin, the bugs, the breeze, the huge spider that weaves a web on your front porch. He's not harming anybody. Let him chill. Let him be mindful, man. Just be in the moment, just noticing things. And that's what makes all of this magical. Just to bring all your spirituality, all your awareness down to the moment. I got a new book. I spent the most I've ever spent on the book up to this point. I'm a collector of antique books. Any book by Manly P. Hall, I'll tell you that. In my collection, anything by Manly P. Hall, just because of what his work means to me, and just how there were so many versions back then, and in they're different. There's autograph versions. There's, special editions. There's editions that are in color. There's editions that are, the print's way larger, and there's the editions with gold trim, new covers on different editions. And so I'm a huge fan of his work, and I collect his books. The older, the better. My address is up on the social media stuff. So if you want to surprise me, go to a website, eBay, buy me an antique book, send it to me. I think if it's before 1970, it's gonna be good. But like if you can find something in the 1800s, my birthday's coming up, Christmas is coming up. I'm just throwing that out there. But I bought my most expensive book, and it was a Manly P. Hall book. I spent $150 for it. It's worth a lot more. It's worth a lot more. What happened was I had a friend of mine who went to a estate sale and he sells stuff on eBay. He sells, collectible items, old antique boxes. I mean, anything you could think of that he thinks you can get a few dollars for, he'll buy it and list it and sell it. So he came across a library that had a bunch of occult books. Well, he actually sent me a picture of a bunch of the books that he found. He said, "Look, I found some books," and he sent me. And I just seen Manly P. Hall, seen Secret Teachings of All Ages. I seen there's so many of them, a bunch of Blavatsky books and stuff. And he's like, "Hey man, like, I'm if you want it, you got first dibs. If you want them, I figured you would like the stuff." And he already had some of it listed on eBay, but I seen the Manly P. Hall. It was the Secret Teachings of All Ages. It was a large copy, the big blueprint. It was hardcover, and it was still in the wrapper. Like, it was still in the plastic protective wrap. And this book by itself, without being in its original packaging, is worth a lot of money. Like to a collector, whatever you're willing to pay, right? Because they're hard to come by. And he messaged me. He had it listed for $300. I was like, bro, I will give you. I would have gave him $300 then for that book, because they're hard to find, but it's in its original wrapper. Like, this is not even open, for sure, But he's like, well, I didn't tell him I would. Now I was like, hey, I want it. How much? And he told me, he said, I'll give you half off of whatever I have any of these books listed for. So he had it listed for $300, and I bought it for $150, and he was local. So I went and got it. And I haven't opened it. And people are asking me, Shelby's commenting, she's like, I'm so jealous of that book. People are asking me, are you going to open it? No, I just got to get another one. That is already open. Like, let me get one of the ones that's already open so I can read it. So I collect old books, and that was an awesome find. It was the most I've ever paid. It's $150 for a collector's item of somebody's work that really means a lot to me. But that was a beautiful find, because they're really rare, and for him to find it and still in the wrapper, oh my God, so cool. That was something that happened last week. What else? Another update I guess I can give you guys. For any of you, people are commenting in the YouTube and stuff, and they're saying, love your music. Your music is awesome. Love your music. I got a new album coming out. The album officially drops October the 6th. It is called White Magic. And we're doing a pre-order special. And the pre-order, you're going to get some dope stickers. And you're going to get... I'll tell you the stickers that you get first. We got a huge bumper sticker. Like 6, I think it's like 2x6. It's not huge, but it's the normal size bumper stickers. 2x6, I think it is. And it says "Seek Truth" really big on it. And I had some similar ones of those years ago that I still see cars locally driving around with that bumper sticker, "Seek Truth." So I was like, man, I need some of those. So that's one of the stickers, and you're gonna get one of the big vehicle decals of the TruthSeekah. What is it? The icon for the podcast. My little cut, but it's cut out. It's a decal. It's 4 by 5 inches, and it's cut out. So those are the stickers that are coming. You're gonna get a digital download before the album drops. So that'll be here in the next couple of days. But I'm going to be autographing all the copies. So if you want an autographed copy, that's the only way to get it, is to get it from the pre-order or find the CD or something and see me somewhere at a concert or at a retreat or something like that. That's one thing that a lot of people who come to the retreats, they bring my books and they let me sign them at the retreats. And that's a cool little thing. It makes it more special to me than signing them and shipping them as far as the books are concerned. But that is something that I'm doing with the CDs for the pre-order, because you got something that's limited. And that is going to be up, what's today? September the 27th is the day that we're recording this. It's going to be up a couple days later, but we'll probably... September the 29th is probably going to be the last day to get a pre-order. If you want the sticker pack and if you want the autographed copy and the digital copy earlier, September the 29th. Because I'm going to put in the order of the CDs, and I don't just order a bunch of CDs on deck. Whatever I sell, I'm going to get with the manufacturer, order those, sign them, and put them in the bundles and send them out for the pre-order. So if you're listening to this later after the date, you may have missed it. You may have missed it. September 29th. You can still get physical copies though. They just won't be signed. It is what it is. Order you one and then come see me on the road and I'll gladly sign it. Adam, what up, boy? He says eBay is awesome and a curse. What is the curse? That you spend too much money on it? Buying antique toys. I know you're a toy collector. And I used to be a toy collector, right? I love toys. I love video games. And my old studio, which everybody loved, on my backdrop was full of toys. Like I had like toys of the video games that I played and video game posters and all that stuff. And it was awesome. And I love those toys, but they're put up in a box somewhere. And my friends come over like, man, where's your toys? You need to put your toys on display. I was like, nope, no more toys, man. Only esoteric memorabilia. So it's less cluttered in here. I wanted it that way. Because listen, when it's time to dust and clean and you got to move all those toys, and it's one of those things that would be like a domino effect too. So if one of those little pop vinyl toys fell over, most everything's falling over, and they fall over. Kids come over. It's so funny because kids would come over to our old house and they would come and go in my studio, and I'm like, no, you got to get out of here. This isn't the kids' room. This isn't for kids. Because I got like, you knock one toy over, everything falls over. I got my recording equipment, cameras, and all that stuff in there. And it's my office. But it was like, you're telling a little kid that this isn't for kids. You find this room, you go in, and there's toys and there's posters. There is no wall. The walls are covered in posters of cartoon characters, of Pokemon, of League of Legends, and you name it, video game. And there's all these toys. And the kid just opens it up and like, it's like heaven. What do you mean this isn't for kids? Who's this for? So kids would come over and see the room. We're like, no kids allowed in this room. So, just don't. I let some kids come in. But you ain't going to have a whole bunch of kids in my room playing. No. You can come in, play a little bit, touch this one, get that one, whatever. But yeah, I had to put away all of the toys. And so it's easier on the mind. Like I haven't like my walls are black. My wall installation here for like studio installation, it's black. My desk is black. My computer, everything's black. It just helps. I think it helps to focus too with less stimuli. Like I'm not like taking in colors and taking in shapes and toys and all this kind of stuff. So when it's time to focus on my work in front of me, it really helps. Even like watching TV, I don't like watching TV with the lights on. Like I turn the light off so that the TV is illuminated when we're watching a movie. I don't need to see pictures on the wall. I want to see the movie, And so why are you turning the lights off? I want to focus on the TV. So this is kind of something that I've created for my home studio here. It's all black. And I mean, there's some trinkets on the wall, very little. May put up some more eventually. But yeah, it's aesthetic. I need to bring my books in here. My books are in the other room. I just got to get a bookshelf to bring them all in here so I can show them off and kind of showcase them. I seen one guy years ago. I forgot who he was, but he sent me some pictures of his collection. He had like this golden frame that had a key on it, and you open it and it was like this really big, like nice Manly P. Hall book, and he had a bunch of books framed and stuff. And I was like, whoa, that's a cool collection. And some of those books, they get pricey really quick. Like anything that's first edition or old or signed, like the prices go up. You can snag them. And as I'm talking about it, I may go browse eBay and some other sites that I look at, not just eBay, but to look for books. Cause I just got one in the other day. Like I plan on reading them. I'm a slow reader, just to be honest with you. I enjoy reading so much, but I take my time with it, and I got to read stuff over and over to really get it. But man, there's so much beauty in those old books, because especially one thing I like about the old books is that most of what you're getting now from people who are maybe big names in any movement, whether it's a Christian movement or the New Age movement, the occult movement, the New Thought movement, whatever. Like, they've borrowed a lot of this work, and shame on the ones who haven't given credit. Shame on the ones who haven't given credit. But I like to go and see where it came from. So I'll go back to the older guys. We'll go back to, the 1800s. We'll go back before that. There's Renaissance stuff that you can find. There's older ancient texts. I just got the other day, which, please don't be mad at me, brother, but if you're listening, the guy that I bought the books from, he had a version of the Divine Pymander, which is the book supposedly that Tahuti or Thoth has written. It was a new version though. I think it was like a 1990 something or 2000s or something. And I don't just collect books for the sake of it, even though it's a good book, I'd like it. I want the old one. So he was trying to sell it to me for the same price that I could find a 1973 version for. They're just older. It feels like you're holding something of antiquity. The older you can get, and the old books smell, and so I didn't buy it from him, and I got that the other day. I'm gonna read it. It seems like a pretty short read, but I'm knee deep in some good Manly P. Hall right now, and some good I think it's Annie Besant. Annie Besant, who has a book called Esoteric Christianity. Let me see. I wanna not lie to you. Esoteric Christianity by Annie Besant and Besant. It's Besant. I don't know. I'm pretty sure this is the book. Looks like it. It came out in 1901. Esoteric Christianity or the Lesser Mysteries. Came out in 1901, and so I'm reading that right now too, and it's been pretty good. I'm reading that, and I'm reading the Mystical Christ by Manly P. Hall. It's so funny, dude, because people just start talking crap. They start talking crap about the Masons, and Manly P. Hall's a Mason. He said Lucifer, once the Mason learns the secrets of Lucifer. That hurt. Once a Mason learns the secrets of Lucifer, then he's able to be endued with power. See, he's a devil worship. You have no idea of what you speak, young man. You're just grabbing quotes. Read The Mystical Christ by Manly P. Hall. Read How to Understand Your Bible by Manly P. Hall. Read all of his Christian books. Read his book on the Holy Spirit. And then make an assessment. You've read quotes of like people who are trying to debunk them. Oh, yeah, Lucifer, man. He's a Luciferian. Worships the deity Lucifer. No. You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea at all. So make sure you inform yourself before you make an educated guess. Before you project a quote. Listen, I've seen the quotes. We've all seen the quotes. But have you read the damn book? Same has been said by about Blavatsky. She's one of the most polarizing people of antiquity, and rightfully so, which she brought a lot of stuff to the table and of the occult, and she said some strange things, and she wrote so much material. So much, all they did was write. Just imagine all of these podcasts, 430 podcasts that are like 1, 2, 3 hours long. Like, what if those were transcribed and put into books? That is Madame Blavatsky. That is Manly P. Hall. But they're not just talking off the top of the head. At least Manly P. Hall isn't. I'll say that. He's a researcher. He's researched. He's read those antiquity books. He's read the Divine Pymander. He's read all of this stuff. He's been there. He knows it. And he's given you a history lesson of forgotten religions of antiquity, what they believed, what they ate. Like, he's literally giving you fact about these cults and about how they operated in their code of ethics. And if you did this, you were outed. Like, he's giving you all of this intricate initiations of the pyramids. And now there's people like going live on podcasts just making up, intuitively telling you the initiations of the pyramids and how a starship is fueled, how a galactic starship, and thousands of people, tens of thousands of people are listening and eating it up, and they're making it up. So I say that to say that Manly P. Hall is a was a historian who shared a lot of this work, of his research. And he researched so much and he knew so much that he could talk for hours. And he did talk for hours. And you can find the audios of Manly P. Hall. And I sample him usually in every album. I dedicate my work to him. And there's a difference there, you know, of somebody making it up as they go versus someone being the historian. Now, I didn't throw Blavatsky in that ring. Almost did, but there's a lot of channeled stuff. There's a lot of other stuff. But she was a historian too. She brought a lot of Eastern mysticism to the West. She was responsible for it, for sure. Christians hate to admit that. They don't even know. They don't know their history. They don't know that you know, Christian mysticism, as it is today, is able to thrive in the open because of a lot of stuff that she brought to the table. They don't know that. They would never give her accolades. They would never give her roses because she's so polarizing and so scary. Because of even some of her quotes talking about Satan is the god of this world. And once people realize that Satan is the god of this world and he's the god of this matrix, then they'll be set free. It's like they'll take that quote and like, see, she's telling you that Satan is the god of this. Listen, the Bible tells you that Satan is the god of this world. It says the god of this world has blinded the eyes of them who are in disobedience, that they should not believe about the marvelous gospel. They not believe the truth because their eyes were blinded. Like I don't think she made it up. She took it from the Bible, but because it's in a different package, it's the packaging. We found that out early on. It's the packaging. It's the packaging. I can tell you guys one thing till I'm blue in the face. Nobody gets it. Nobody gets it. It's a cult. It's scary. You let Joel Osteen share it. Boom. Oh yeah, we always knew this. Yeah, it's good. Like you let their favorite pastor package it and put it in the book. It is the packaging. But we know that truth seekers don't really care about packaging, you know, because we know that God speaks through any and all things. And if he has a message for you, and if you don't get it, he chooses the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. He used Balaam's donkey to speak to him. Balaam's donkey to speak to him. The donkey could see things that he couldn't see. You know, God speaks through everything. And if you can't hear him in all, then you can't hear him, her, it at all. In and through, to and through, all things. All things, all things. Adam Starseed Bay says, Manly P. Hall and Jordan Maxwell is the two main voices I listen to because they brought this info first that I'm aware of. Anybody else who just steals their hard work and acknowledges the Bible, yeah. I lost my video. There I am. Yeah, you're right. And hats off and kudos to my friend Jordan Maxwell as well. Jordanus Maximus, if that is his real name. You know, they say he got his name from Madame Blavatsky's book, which she talks about the Jordanus Maximus River, I think it is. Jordanus Maximus River, which is mentioned of in her book, which probably so. I remember I asked him a long time ago. I was like, hey, are you a fan of Madame Blavatsky? And he jumped my ass. He jumped my ass. I'm not a fan of her work. She's a great woman and she did a great thing, but I'm no fan. Like he thought it was like, I guess it was a dig to call him a fan. Hey, I'm a fan of her work. I'm a fan of those people. I use that word's okay. I guess fan is, he's a word guy though. I'm a word guy. Fan is a fanatic. Are you a fanatic of Blavatsky? Are you one of her fanatics? I'm not a fanatic, you know. But yeah, you got to give credit where credit's due. Thank the bank for the money. Thank God for you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump off here. That's the end of this show here. Somebody's asking about the books. They're going to buy the books. What book is it? Chris Moore, I will say, if you can find a cheaper version, dig for it. But this one really good. It's a pamphlet. It's a beautiful book. The older the better, right? But it's a pamphlet called The Holy Spirit, or The Mystery of the Holy Spirit. by Manly P. Hall. It's a pamphlet. It should be cheap. You should be able to find it for pretty cheap. So look that one up. That's a good short pamphlet. That is a beautiful book on the Holy Spirit. But the deeper one, the bigger one, is The Mystical Christ, for sure, by Manly P. Hall. That's a good one. Somebody else asked about a book recommendation too. Let's see. Okay, Dragon says, what book do you recommend to start reading? It depends on what you're into and what you're wanting to study. With all of those books, it goes without saying that I am a student of the scriptures. You know, I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ. And I read the Bible. It's the most magical book, I would say, in my opinion. It is magical. It unfolds. It tells you about yourself. It tells you about so much. You're as you're reading the scriptures, it's like you're beholding in a mirror. It's sharper than any two-edged sword, and it's speaking to your heart about the deepest desires, the things that you're hiding, the things that you've been scared to address, those kind of things. You know, it's that book. So that goes without saying. So for me, but I have to say it because there's new listeners. So I'm a student of the word, the scriptures. But when it comes to anything, you know, and it's full of all of that. Listen, that has witches and wizards and necromancy and summoning angels and the dead and angelic contact and fasting and casting out demons and demonic possession and ghosts and so much stuff that's in that book. You just were told that it wasn't, or that it was evil. Or you know it was in there, but you didn't know, but then you were told it's evil. Listen, going in and out of trances and speaking with the dead, your ancestors communing with you, reincarnation, it's all in the Bible. And so I wrote a companion to go with it. Somebody here, shout out to Scion Fire, my friend. He says, I recommend Spirit Realm by TruthSeekah. For those of you who don't know, it's in the link of this podcast, my book, Spirit Realm. I cover a lot of that stuff that's in the Bible, the spirits and the angels and crystals and numbers and signs and symbols. And I trace it all back to biblical truth that wasn't painted in a bad light before religion got a hold of it and tried to demonize things and give you permission about what you could and couldn't do when it comes to the spirituality. But all that stuff is in the Bible. So my book, Spirit Realm, for sure. I read the Bible, but I was going to say, you know, one of the go-to books too is by Manly P. Hall again. It's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. I mentioned it, but it's not. It doesn't have to be the big, you know, $300 copy, the collector's editions and stuff. It's the reader's edition. So if you look that up, you can find that for fairly cheap, usually under $30. Get the Secret Teachings of All Ages. Reader's edition. And so what that is, it's a really huge book, but I feel like it's more of a coffee table book. You know, if you're a good reader and you want to knock it out from Genesis to Revelation, like from start to finish, like do it. But for me, it's one of those things where I just kind of can browse through it or go to the table of contents and just pick a subject. Okay, elementals. Wow, I'm diving in on elementals. Pythagoras. Wow, mathematics. Wow, the book of Revelation, Jesus the Christ. Wow, you know, kind of pick where you want, because literally the book is like probably 4 inches thick or so, maybe bigger, and small print. So kudos if you've read it all the way through. I haven't, and so I'm a spot reader when it comes to that, because everything it's really a whole bunch of books in one. I don't, you know, it's a collection, just like the Bible. Just like the Bible. You know, the Bible isn't one book either, right? Biblios. It means little book or little books. They're all compiled together. The books of the Bible, 66 different books. Many books were taken out. It had more in it at one point. There are different books and letters that were written, that were compiled and brought together to put in one compilation. Similar to the way Manly P. Hall has written The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Now, in my mind, do I put them on the same pedestal? Not at all. I don't. They're both beautiful books, and they both represent different things, I would say. So with that, pick a book. Buy a book. Buy me one while you're at it. Usually if you add an extra book to your cart, they give you like free shipping on Amazon. But I don't want nothing that's on Amazon. I told you I want old books. Buy me an old book. Go into the description of this podcast and send me a cool old book. And if you do that, I'll send you some cool stuff too. I've got a bunch of merch. I've got a bunch of old posters that are out of print from my music. I've got a bunch of old CDs that are out of print. Listen, I'll pay you back. Surprise me, I'll surprise you. And let's do it, man. So love you guys. Get you a book. Buy me one too. Get one for your mom and whoever else needs a good book in their life. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Chris Moore says, shh, stop telling everyone. I know they're going to sell out. They're going to sell out. That's the thing. It's like you got your little honey hole. You can't tell nobody. Well, go to eBay. Just browse eBay. Everybody knows about eBay. You don't know about the other ones. Peace, guys. Love y'all. We'll do it again very soon. Shalom, shalom.
Your way so much higher than mine. So much higher than mine. So much deeper than mine. So much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.